It's time.
It's like the closest thing that we have to breaking news.
Like,
not even break. This is insane.
I mean, you thought we were
insanity.
talking golf, and then the NFL just came in and said,
"Hey,
hold my beer."
Yeah, hold my beer. We're here. We're in it. NFL. What the hell?
Well, I mean, we want to start with gambling. You got to start with gambling.
Oh, we got to start with gambling. Oh, my boy.
Your boy.
My boy. Why don't we? Do you have the actual news, or are we just on his Twitter? Is that?
Yeah, I'm on his Twitter right now.
Fine. We'll go through it. It's okay. Calvin Ridley. For those that don't know, he's a receiver. Suspended receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, on Halloween, decided to step away from the game for mental health reasons, which is it's great. I think that's impressive of him to do. About a month later, he was in Florida on a nice little app that we're not going to say because we don't like that app, and decided to put a 3, a 5, and an 8-leg parlay, which included the Falcons winning a game.
Against the Jaguars, in his defense.
In his defense, this is true. This is true, and we did win. I don't think his parlay hit.
I was going to ask you. If
I don't think they disclosed. I don't think we have that
No,
information yet. I really hope so. He also stated that it was only $1,500. Well, I don't know if you guys have been aware, but in sports, I don't think you're allowed to gamble on said sport that you play.
No, it's frowned upon. Ask Pete Rose.
It's
still.
It's a big issue, and he decided to do it. So then I'm diving into it, figuring out what's going on, and I'm on his side, right? He's away of mental health. He from like October 31st on didn't communicate at all to the team.
Right.
He's essentially not on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, maybe he just got lost in the hoopla of it all. The Falcons are playing in overseas. Maybe I don't know.
Right.
Just got confused and decided to do it. But when we pull up this amazingness, first of all, go down. I want to highlight the football is life tweet. Okay, he had not tweeted since October except for that retweet from the Super Bowl. Okay, did that, nothing, silence. Right. There's the
October
31st.
31st.
Retweet on the Super Bowl. And then football's life, a laughing emoji. I learned from Miles. Then the news hits. This news hits of him being suspended for an entire season, effective immediately. Then he goes off and just immediately says, I bet $1,500 total. I don't have a gambling problem. That tweet alone made me go, you're a shit show. Like, why would you tweet that? That makes zero sense. First of all, don't tweet. Second of all, there's an appeals process. You had a chance at something in an appeals process. Probably not, because this is a big thing in sports, gambling, when you're playing. But like that there goes your case. Like, that's not, you just basically gave them a middle finger. And then he goes on to say, I couldn't even watch football at that point. We don't know what that means. Just going to be more healthy when I come back.
That makes me laugh.
Because he's going to have 2 years
He's
off.
2 years
That just
off.
makes me laugh.
I mean, I think we can all speak, and this is a very much generalization, but just speaking to that tweet, is that like we had 2 years off for COVID. A lot of people didn't come back healthier, myself included.
Right? It didn't work.
So,
and then
good luck to him.
And then he says, I know I was wrong, but I'm getting 1 year. Now, we'll get into after this a little bit of the whole gambling and playing and stuff. That's fine. But it's a hard set rule. Everyone knows it. You don't do it. Now, people probably do it, but they use proxies. But then you literally had just said, I know I was wrong.
Yeah.
As his attorney or his players union rep, like, okay, well,
I appreciate the honesty.
You're gone for a year. Like, we have no defense now, zero.
Right.
And then the last one was, if you know me, you know my character. Okay, could have led with that one, and just
left it. You could have just said
stopped.
This is the world we live in, though. Like, And for me, like, honestly, in some ways, it's kind of refreshing because what we get from this is actually, like, first of all, it's a true response from Ridley. Like, this is him running the account clearly because no one's controlling it.
Correct.
But it's 100% what happened, and that's his mindset. And like, it shows how bogus and bullshit the professional leagues are about stupid shit like this. And then you start comparing it to all of the other things that people get suspended
Domestic
a game
violence,
for. Yeah, I mean,
smoking, like just
right,
a plethora.
everything, like whatever the gamut of things is. And the NFL takes millions, if not billions, of dollars from the gambling places now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're in bed with them. Yeah, I mean, all of the sports betting now that goes on. I mean, it's $1 billion industry. Look at all the places that are out there. That's why we're sitting here.
Right.
Yeah, we are not.
We literally have a podcast.
However, like, that's why, like, I understand from your perspective of if he wanted a chance to play, but like social media and everything happening in the moment, 24/7 news cycle, like, this is just refreshing to me of like, when are we going to finally open our eyes and realize that, like, what he did doesn't matter?
Yeah. And then ultimately,
And like realize how unimportant and the minimal impact and like that it should just be blipped over and the dude should be playing football whenever he can play football.
Slap a fine on him or make him repay his winnings back, whatever you want, if that's what you're against. But like in this case, he's not shaving points. He's not throwing a game.
Playing.
He's not exactly. He can't
on the team.
He couldn't he couldn't impact that result.
Well, he did.
Well, here's the problem with cancel
Team
culture,
Warners.
though. Have you seen the videos?
By not playing.
Have you seen the videos that have come out in like the 0-0 games where he'll catch a ball and like he ran backwards on 2nd and 5, 0-0 game in the first cart, and they're like, oh, here's proof that he was shaving points.
I mean, all the drop passes last season. But no, he's
and then
not.
We took time for mental health after that.
Yeah,
like that's not how this works. Like,
it's two separate issues for me. There was a rule, follow the rules. Those rules are dumb. Which, by the way, we've hit rules all season. There's a lot of dumb rules, so that's over here. Right. The other part is, I bet most of them gamble. I bet they do. Now, are they getting caught? No. Are they gambling on NFL? Maybe not. Probably not.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I don't
just why take on that risk? But why are they not allowed to gamble on the games? Specifically, now I understand, if you're playing in the game, maybe, right? I get that. And with these apps, they track everything you do. So it's not like they wouldn't know. That's exactly how he got caught from the NFL. Why can't they? What's so wrong about it?
I mean, I get that side of things, and I'm honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. But like the league when the league comes out and says we've done our research because this happened months ago, and we've found no wrongdoing other than the fact that $1,500 is going to cost him $11 million.
5 days. It was 5 days.
So, like, once the league does that, then slap a fine on him, slap a 1-game suspension on him, whatever. That's fine. Rules are rules.
Right.
But we're taking it to the point of, well, this guy did this, so automatically gone for a year. And it's like, no, that's just not really how the real world works. Like, you're in NFL fantasy land, Goodell, wake the fuck up.
Right.
Pardon my French.
You did it. You dropped it.
He
does. Right. And the worst part to me, not the worst part, but part of the thing from the NFL, they told the Falcons the week of the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. We're not even a month removed from when they told the Falcons of this. At that point, obviously, the Falcons are going to get trade requests and inquiries about Calvin Ridley and all this stuff, and they essentially said, no comment. We're not taking those calls because they knew of this, right? So I have a question. One, why did it take until the week of the Super Bowl for the NFL to be like, hey, by the way, right? He did some things and some stuff. And then why did it take them another month to publicly announce it? A couple days before basically free agency kicks off and goes nuts.
Great questions.
Where's Like if you're about the fans and the teams, like where's that? Why wait? Because to me, all that does is actually it. I'm glad the Falcons didn't announce when they did or when they found out. Although Goodell probably would have fined the hell out of them.
Right.
And they're sticking to Ridley even still, by the way. And I love that part. But you handcuffed them for an entire month, which also means they couldn't do other moves because it would give away the fact that something's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
So NFL fines. Okay, we talked about this earlier. So if you slap a fine on him for this, and he gets to play throughout the season, he is every other person in this NFL. He's going to get fined at some point during the season for something else. NFL, you take that money and you donate it to charities, and you use it as some sort of help on your taxes. Like that's so you are, in a sense, hindering yourself a little bit on that. That's just my thinking. Like you're hindering yourself from making more on those fines.
Right, but the NFL, and again, as fans, like we continue to grow the game for the NFL by tuning in and record numbers every week and stuff like that. And the NFL has clearly proven over and over and over again that their product will defeat any one team, one person. And Tom Brady's gone. The NFL will be fine next year. If Aaron Rodgers had left,
wouldn't fine.
Go on,
kick
on. I mean, that's our next
move
news
forward.
topics. But the NFL will move on and will continue to be billion-dollar industry, and that's why this will it's a news cycle thing, and unfortunately, he will get suspended for a year. Probably won't be able to get out of any games or anything like that. I mean, Sean Payton was gone for a year. Who even remembers that? That wasn't that long ago.
No.
I mean, nobody missed
him. Gate, baby.
Yeah, right. Nobody missed him.
Yeah. Silver lining as we wrap up the Falcons. It did clear up $11.1 million for our cap, though. Silver lining somewhere.
Easy money.
It's just let's
just in your lap.
Spend it.
Yeah. Maybe
Cordell, a little Cordell action.
Oh, I was just thinking somebody to protect Ryan, maybe.
I mean, ideally, now that he has zero weapons except for Pitts, like Pitts is the only guy right now.
What pick do they have?
Oh,
we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah.
There's got to be there's a lot of good offensive linemen. You better draft an offensive lineman
or D line. At this point, I don't care. It needs to be in on the line.
That's fair.
It doesn't matter. I'd rather go spend free agency, go pick up O line. That's fair. All right,
Rodgers,
Aaron Rodgers.
Tweets pulled up.
The reports are multiple and false.
Yeah.
Well, no, false-ish.
False.
True-ish or
True-ish?
false-ish?
Like
I can't even say that word.
Yeah. Rodgers, he denounced the number, but didn't.
He's definitely coming back.
He's coming back.
He accepted the comeback. He's not accepting the alleged
dollar figure.
$200 million.
Now let's
like,
you guys. Typically, they're not wrong on the number, and if they are, it's like.
Well, right. They also said he had already signed the contract, which is also not true. And anything with Rodgers on either side, whether he says it or somebody says it about him, has proven to be somewhat false for like the last year now. So can't trust him, can't trust the media.
Yeah.
Like,
it's somewhere in the between.
It's
So he did sign for 4 years. He's coming back.
I mean, we don't even know 4 years is right.
Maybe he signed for.
That seems like a long time for him. Like, why not take like 2 years, 150, and spread it over like 7, like Bonilla? I mean, that dude's still getting paid for the MLB, you know? Like, here's how
I'm pretty sure because of that, they're like they don't do that.
It still happens.
Hey, he's the only player getting paid right now.
He's
That's awesome.
The highest paid player in the major leagues.
Yep. What a legacy. What a legacy. But so back to Rodgers.
Yeah.
Alleged 4-year, $200 million deal.
I mean, surprised that he came back.
Guaranteed 153.
I mean, for that money, I'm not surprised, but like I don't know. I don't know if I was expecting, if I was just. I mean,
I don't know. No, I mean it's brand new news, so like there's be some other things coming out. My gut is kind of upset with Rodgers because it seems like a money grab. Now what he's saying is different. We'll figure that out, but it just seems like they put the biggest contract in front of him, and he was like, okay. Now the details of it, he got Adams back at least for a year, which is. Allegedly,
yes, we needed. I mean,
that was
franchise tagged.
Yeah, he was tagged.
He was tagged.
tagged.
So,
well, because the question was, if they would have enough cap, because they were $20-some million over the cap.
Apparently,
so they had to get below it.
This could have shaved off 26, freed up 26 for him. This type of deal,
right?
So I wonder in the sense, like, okay, so since he said that this deal isn't finalized or anything like that, I'm guessing that's probably part of it. He wants Adams back. He wants to throw the ball to Adams. So part of that is, hey, let's make sure that we have enough cap space for this guy to come back.
He's not coming back unless he can win a Super Bowl. Like, he's 100% legacy at this point. The dude makes too much money doing other things, or has the opportunity to do other things that could pay him. Like, if he wanted to go to the booth, Amazon would pay him more, as much, if not more, than what he's making now.
Oh, yeah.
If he obviously he's on every damn TV commercial. State Farm's paying him, God, who knows about, if he wanted to go do Jeopardy, I mean, who the hell, I mean, he could still do it. Like, that's the thing, is like, he was good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows, and he knows that. So, like, I think that going into the whole, am I going to retire him, am not, isn't even like, can I play? I just won the MVP twice in a row. Like, so I can still play, but can I win a Super Bowl?
Such a big deal?
Well, because, the Packers aren't going to pay him pennies. That's what I'm saying with the structuring of this. I feel like it's going to be very unique structuring.
Yeah.
So, because he's not coming back to go 14-3 and get kicked out in the first round again.
I mean,
he's not putting his body through that.
They will.
And they might. But I think if they do, like, what's to say that he'll walk away from a contract? Because
I bet there's
that's
a lot of
my
clauses.
mindset. Is that
I think that's why it's not signed. There's some clauses of outs that haven't been agreed upon, or incentive-based.
So we brought up one player with Davante Adams getting his franchise tag, and probably a big part of the structuring of this deal. What about Jordan Love? You just you use a first-round draft pick on that guy, thinking he's going to be your next guy.
That's the nice thing with first-round draft picks, especially not top 10 or 15 guys, is you don't have to pay them.
Not to mention they still have some. If they wanted to trade him away in a package deal, there's value there because he hasn't put anything on the field to one way or another. I mean, he played one game,
and they
didn't play well,
and they haven't had to pay him.
They haven't had to pay him, so they're good. And guess what they get to do with this 4-year deal? There's good quarterbacks. Is it not this draft class? Is it the next one or the one after?
No, the next one.
So the next one, they can go ahead and just go grab another one.
Yeah,
and then right behind. And they most likely will, because they don't like Love. They're not in love with Love.
Well, I mean, he hasn't shown any reason. He hasn't even been good in preseason.
At all. He's just not been good, and clearly not good at practice. But, so the coach.
I mean, what if he has a good preseason this year and something clicks? Like,
cool. Then
they
win.
They're fine.
They're win.
I mean, I don't think that they're going to change a ton, because obviously the system worked for him last year, but they're going to have a new OC. Who that is, I mean, I haven't seen that. I haven't followed enough of the Packers.
I mean, I feel like Rodgers has had a hand.
It'll
in all
be
of that.
So I mean, it'll be a very, very similar system.
That's another reason he returned. Like,
I mean, it'll be a very similar system, but
boy,
maybe Jordan Love is not that system quarterback. Like he could go elsewhere and potentially succeed.
But they're not going to trade him.
This is a legacy play for Aaron Rodgers. They come back and suck for 2 years, and they develop the entire team. The entire franchise is now around Rodgers.
He just becomes a top 10 quarterback instead of a guy that's talked about in the top 3 to 5 right now,
basically.
Which, I mean, as far as watching the guy, like, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that I would, in the history of the game, that are more fun to watch execute the position.
What would you say your top 3 are?
I mean,
not like
so
one being one, but your 3 best.
I look at it from a perspective of pre-snap, with the ball, and then like maybe like a scramble entertainment factor, because that's 3 really different things. Pre-snap is Peyton Manning. I mean, that guy's
unreal.
And Brady was probably the closest to his level from that perspective.
But I still think there was. But Brady actually had more physical, and people I don't think give Brady enough credit for like arm strength and stuff like that, and the stuff that he's developed and then kept. Is that like Manning never had like an elite arm.
No.
He did so much pre-snap because he had to, because he wasn't as physically gifted. He wasn't going to move. Like, his movement in the pocket was good and stuff like that. But Brady was even a little bit more elusive ever than Manning as well. So, like, Manning pre-snap, and that's just kind of like, I don't really know that there's a number 2 in that.
Yeah.
from the audibles to the personality and everything that he put in. I mean, it was a show on its own.
Yeah.
Just watching, you could just watch Peyton Manning pre-snap like for a game. As far as just throwing the football, to me, it doesn't get better than Rodgers. That release and
So quick.
pinpoint accuracy, and the ball just got where it needed to go. And then who's the best Hail Mary thrower of all time? Aaron Rodgers. The guy gets arc, he gets distance, he can scramble long enough to put the ball. I mean, and he's got like 3 or 4 different Hail Mary passes that are iconic to his time. I mean, yeah, like that. Troy Aikman was, a Cowboys fan, so like he was really damn good, accurate, didn't throw nearly as much.
Didn't have to.
Quick release, though, that type of arm. But Rodgers is just like, it's majestic to watch.
It
and
looks like
I'm a Cowboys fan
ball.
talking about a Packers quarterback. I was a Brett Favre hater. And so then you go to, so like there's 2, and then you get into that gunslinger, like, we're talking Elway, we're talking Farm, we're talking Mahomes, that type of player. And it's like, right now, it's hard not to say Mahomes. He does a lot of things that aren't mechanically sound, but he makes up for a lot of it with. The guy ran a 4.8 40 at the combine, and you tell me the last time you saw him get caught from behind in a game.
Yeah, that was weird. That's weird.
It's funny.
To be fair, but we all know there's football speed in.
Oh, absolutely. It was just funny because they ran him in the. Yeah. Did you see the tweet this week? They ghosted him with 3 other quarterbacks, and then
big boy.
Jordan Davis.
Davis.
Yeah.
So Jordan Davis and Mahomes. So Jordan Davis is 6'7", 341 pounds, and ran the same 40 time as Mahomes at the combine. And so they did that, and then they were talking another quarterback speed.
So I don't care,
but
to talk about that is scary to have that guy that big move that quickly.
You know what's not scary about it? Is as a linebacker, he's in front of me going that way.
That's
you go, boy. I'm just wait back here and watch.
But like you're watching film, and when the defensive lineman's chasing the quarterback down, and they're like, "Hey, you play outside linebacker, and you guys outrunning you to the quarterback."
Absolutely,
that's extra reps after practice, right?
Yeah. Oh, just like
so.
Big boy.
I don't know. To go back to the, I would say, like I said, I think Manning pre-snap. I think.
No, we're good. Okay. We're good.
Rodgers, as far as just watching a guy throw the ball, and then I would probably go with, scramble ability would either be just from an play excitement would either be Favre or Mahomes, just because Favre would just sling that thing, like you never knew where the hell he was throwing.
Yeah,
it. He has the most interceptions for a reason.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say
he's too young.
I think that's
Marino gets a lot of he gets left off of a lot of lists. I didn't see him enough, but from the videos I've watched and hearing people talk, he is that previous generation's Rodgers, just from a purity of just throwing the football around the yard type of thing, which makes sense because he was ahead of his time.
Do you have, talking just, I think more so this year, but like Matt Stafford with all the talent that he had, he just didn't, he's like, okay, my arm's good enough, and I have so many wide receivers around me that one of them is going to get there, but he has accuracy, he's got arm strength, he's got he's got the eyes, he's got the skills to look people off or do like that no look throw. Like that's another guy that comes to mind when you're talking about just slings the ball all over, because we saw him make some really, really bad choices.
He's played in Detroit for way too long.
Yeah,
but then he just he's just letting it fly, and I thought that was fun to watch.
The most elusive quarterback. Lee's got
Mike Vick.
We gotta say Vick. Talk about quarterback. That just
but
what the hell?
Do you think? Well, and the guy had a cannon.
Accuracy wasn't ideal. It wasn't in the top echelon, but rocket arm.
And
he could throw out of the stadium.
I'm glad you brought that up because and just that thing, it was like coming out of a damn
cannon
launcher.
Legitimate, just
cannons that weren't used.
Also, Rodgers-esque in terms of it looked like he just flicked it. Like there didn't look like he tried hard.
Absolutely.
Also, he's running 4.2 at you.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Arm strength cannons
loved
that
it,
were never
Madden.
used. Jamarcus Russell.
I loved it. Man.
And honestly, like you've got a little bit of that all in probably. I mean, I love me some Josh Allen now.
Oh yeah,
and that guy has done something that almost every quarterback with a big arm that comes out, Jamarcus Russell, pretty much every quarterback that came out of Ohio State that's been good because they had a strong arm and they couldn't figure out accuracy. And Josh Allen somehow worked accuracy into a 6'5", 240-pound tank of a body that also probably runs 4.4, 4.5, and can throw it 110 yards probably if you just stand him on a field and let him throw the ball. So, like, he was a bust until he figured out accuracy. And I say bust in the terms of he would never have become a guy that you would expect to win a big football game.
Correct.
And, like, that's what Lamar Jackson's battling right now is that, one, he's getting hurt a little bit more because he's not as big as Josh Allen. So he's got to start to figure that out from an accuracy standpoint so that he's not taking the hits and getting rid of the ball. And then also, like, can you win the big game? And the next couple of years,
let's find out.
He's talking a lot about, getting to that. And it's like, man, you got to be accurate. In the NFL, you've got to be accurate. Like that, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you get it there, but you got to get it there and you got to get it there on time. And all of these professional leagues and NFL's no exemption is it's a game of inches. And if you're a yard behind a guy, it's an interception to lose you a Super Bowl. And then you put it on the numbers, you win. And that's, that's what we've learned from watching all professional sports and like sports in general is you've got to continue to develop or you get left in the dust.
But I love how you brought up the AFC though.
So from one blockbuster deal to the next.
Well, you mean big arm quarterbacks who haven't developed accuracy? Drew Lock.
Well, yeah.
Not wrong.
Let's move him north, west.
Yeah. This deal. So the full deal, the Seahawks. We'll go with Broncos because this is a Russell Wilson trade. So the Broncos are getting
it's a Drew Lock trade.
Yeah, true. The Broncos are getting Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson, and a fourth rounder.
Wait, go down the list again.
So we're starting with the Broncos gets Russell Wilson and a fourth rounder.
It's only two things.
Yep, fourth rounder.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So here is the Seahawks.
Fourth rounder would be picks 97 through 130-ish.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're getting a pick in the early 100s.
Yep.
Okay.
And the Seahawks are getting
and Russell Wilson. Sorry.
And Russell Wilson.
No offense to Russ.
No.
Or Sierra.
Aging
but the Seahawks, their get is 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders.
Oh, that's it?
And a fifth rounder.
Oh, you're still going?
And Drew Lock.
All the same year?
And Shelby Harris.
That's my question.
And Noah Fant.
Are you done yet?
Now I am. Period. Done.
Well, there was commas in between the rest.
There was commas.
So
there was ands.
I thought you stopped after the 2 first rounders.
4 players, 4 picks?
3 players, 5 picks.
3 players, 5 picks.
So 8 total.
Yep.
8 for 2. I feel like if we tried to do that in a Madden game, the game would come on and go, I'm sorry, this is not a fair trade, or whatever they
the
do.
NFL denied this trade.
Like, it would turn your console off because you've mismanaged funds.
Yeah.
Guys.
I mean, I don't know the details behind
the
years or anything.
I don't think it matters. To me, Russ is not worth. He's worth maybe 2 first rounders. I would say a first rounder and 2 seconds for sure. But to give 2 first rounders, 2 seconds, a fifth, your best weapon on offense, arguably can be argued.
I won't say that. I won't argue that.
Okay, well, your number 1 tight end.
Correct.
How about that?
There we go.
That one.
Maybe
Absolutely.
3 target, 2 or 3 target
that's
on
fair.
your field.
That's fair.
Your backup quarterback and Shelby Harris.
Tell me about Shelby Harris.
One of their top defenders.
Right? Like, I mean, solid.
I don't know stats.
Like a top 20 in his top 10 in his position in the league guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
anything
I mean,
about it.
so
I'm just trying
last-
to get a feel.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, what are we
I just
getting
know I
away
see
there?
him and he's good at what he does.
And
So-
like, is he paid too much money? Is that why?
I mean,
they're getting rid of
last
him?
year,
Like,
last
is
year
a big
he
cap
had
hit? 61.3 overall. That doesn't seem very good.
1 forced fumble. He had 6 sacks,
He's an interior
7
lineman,
tackle for
right?
loss.
D tackle. Okay.
but
No, I
he's just.
I'm
solid.
trying to get in my mind,
The
what I'm
value?
trying to wrap around is the player value. Because we know what the pick value is. That's,
Right.
I mean, that's a Belichick special type of thing that we've kind of seen going on. So, like, he would obviously purposely stockpile picks in order to do stuff like this. But just trying to figure out, because, those are going to be, in Denver's mind, those are going to be late first-round picks.
They're thinking
Because of
that
where they
way,
want to finish. And then,
which means late second and late fifth. So they're late, but
I mean, in Seattle's mind, they're, like we talked about, in rebuilding mode.
Correct.
So you can trade up with those picks. You can do a lot with 2 firsts and 2 seconds.
you can do a ton.
And Belichick made a living on 5th round picks. So their mindset's correct. I just didn't think that the market would bring that.
That's
I mean,
so big.
So being a Vikings fan
Don't they have
and
to
like
redo his
talking about a
contract,
ton of
too?
picks, like that's what the Vikings have had in the past years is a ton of picks, and this is a ton of picks that there's so much flexibility that they can do. So now even getting that Drew Lock, if they have Geno, we talked about him before. Obviously he came in and played some last year and
Won games?
yeah, he won games. Like that's a good thing. So if they want to wait and get a quarterback of their future that they want to build a franchise around, well, with this kind of stuff, you can make some moves happen.
Right.
I tried to get an Unger on so he could give us a little feedback,
Yeah.
but he didn't respond to me.
Gotcha.
I just don't. As a Broncos fan, I don't. Like, how do you?
That's a win now mentality.
Yeah, but are they set to do so in their division?
I mean, you got to, I don't know, like I said, that's why I was kind of trying to figure out how important Shelby Harris was to their defense, simply because they had a top 3 to 5 defense last year. So like, if they didn't change that and they added a quarterback that was, one, healthy, like they didn't take any shots with Bridgewater because they couldn't afford him to get hit.
Right.
And then he got hurt anyway. And then Locke can't hit he won a couple of big games just because he could scramble and make some
Wildly
plays, but like,
inaccurate.
he's just inconsistent.
Yeah.
And so you get Russ in there who's honestly, Russ is actually a good combination of like a Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater love child. Now just like thinking about it out loud.
So
But
so I did a little bit more
Even
digging.
the color of his skin.
That's what I'm saying.
It all works.
It just works.
I did a little bit more digging on Harris, and it just looks like he's just kind of a solid player there.
solid.
He's played. It
Seahawks
said he
need
played
that.
Just a glue
16.
guy.
Yeah, he played 16 games, 4 of the last 5 seasons. So
Right.
he's playing the full season. They said he was a locker room leader too, so that's a good guy to bring into your locker room. Like he's going to compete. He's going to add value there to it. A decent defensive line already. So
Yeah.
Sobert moves up in the tight end depth chart there.
Yeah, Saubert moving up. I mean, that
You?
means they really. And if you guys don't know, that is a Drake tight end. For those that don't know, I mean that means they like him because he's going to move up to. I think he was 3rd, so now he's 2nd.
Yep.
They really like him unless they're looking to draft somebody, which they still might. But that's really good for
I
Saubert.
think they've got other concerns with the guys that they lost, but
Oh, you mean like?
I mean, I would assume their offensive line was pretty solid. It's hard to say that with knowing their quarterback issues. They have 2 solid running backs.
Yeah,
that
I mean
are young.
Melvin
They're not
Gordon and
getting
Javonte Williams had pretty good years last year. So that
Williams
offensive
is only
line
gonna
is
get better.
the offensive line is solid. I mean, looking at their wide receivers, you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Cordero Sutton. I mean, Tim Patrick had shown flashes of being a good wide
They
receiver
didn't lose
3.
any of their receivers.
Exactly.
which was the important part.
No, I mean they're definitely, but I feel like if I'm in the Broncos, I was either in complete rebuild mode because of my division, or I had to go do something fairly drastic. to compete because I'm competing against the Chiefs twice a year, competing against, say what you want, the Raiders twice a year, and I'm competing against the Chargers twice a year, and they all have top tier quarterbacks. Like,
you're not wrong. I don't believe the Broncos are a quarterback away. Personally.
But everybody else did when Rodgers was going to be the guy there.
Well, I thought so because they're bringing Adams over too. I mean, those two are special no matter what team they go to. I just don't think they're a quarterback away.
And their defense, I think, says otherwise, especially if Russ can do for them overall. I feel like he covered a lot of patchwork crap in Seattle to make them competitive. So if he can have the same value in Denver, he's going back to playing with an elite defense again, which he has proven he can be super successful when his defense is elite because he's a very timely quarterback.
Yeah.
He's going to lose some regular season games that you're just like, oh man, Russ missed this throw, had an interception here. But when Russ has proven that when Russ needs to be clutch, he can be clutch, and he's a dude that if he can stay healthy, again, age. But, I mean, I think he takes good care of himself, and you haven't really seen a huge drop in any of that arm strength or anything like that with him. So,
no,
I think
it's crazy
for Denver, if you're not just completely tanking, you got to do what you got to do. Let the cards fall where they may.
How much, before we end on this, how much do you think this quarterback class being really bad comes into play here?
Oh, 100% does.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're not going to rebuild with any of those quarterbacks. So, therefore, you're...
How many quarterbacks do you think are still taken in the first round?
I think there'll be 2.
Tops. Mm-hmm. And then I wouldn't even be shocked if they fell out. The top.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going. I mean, they're just going to because there's a quarterback always. But
I'm just looking
would
at
not
it.
Be surprised.
I'm just looking at it from years past when we've
right.
seen 5, 6, 7. Like
they're not
good.
Yeah,
I was just trying to figure out how Dallas could be the third team involved in any trade that might get rid of Zeke, but that didn't happen. In other news this week, they're going to cut Amari Cooper. And like I get why, and I'm actually not like devastated about it. They're they're reworking deals with.
But if you chose between Cooper and Zeke,
I mean I've said that I've been a huge Pollard fan, and you can draft really solid running backs in your mid rounds and
not
be
receivers.
Super effective. So I mean, you've got Lamb. They're restructuring Gallup's deal. He's going to be back, obviously coming off injury, but.
They're restructuring with Prescott and Zach Martin both.
Yeah, I'm completely drawing a blank on their third receiver that actually had a great year for them this year. He's number 1. His name's irrelevant.
Cedric Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah, that's why I was going away from me because we were talking about a different Wilson.
He's a Cowboys.
Yeah, good job. Yes. Too many things going on. I mean, we almost left that out of the news completely.
I know.
And that's actually...
Because it was a big deal last week. We were like, holy crap. And now that's,
But, so you got Wilson, you got Gallup, you got Lamb.
It's solid.
You got plenty of guys there. And
I think
they want to... It sounds like from the tweet that I read about them restructuring with Zach Martin and Dak Prescott, they plan on potentially franchise tagging Dalton Schultz.
Situation. Should. They probably need to. But
at this point, they
Amari,
kind of have to.
Amari, if you're listening, the Falcons have a number 1 spot open for you. You want to be a number 1 receiver?
Number 1 receiver. Is $11 million enough?
Well, I mean, we'll restructure Matt Ryan, so we'll find some money. But if you want to be a number 1,
I just don't I don't know what he was scheduled to make on March something. $20 million.
Yeah,
was the hit that the Cowboys were going to take on him. Which, that's too expensive for what he brings. He's hurt too much. And
you have weapons.
We have other guys, so I'm not heartbroken by that. I'm just more heartbroken that we still have Zeke. So,
well, I mean,
and not even heartbroken. Just, I mean, it's just bad management. Like that's Jerry.
It's just not good.
Screw off.
Yeah.
Like, Pollard's so much better.
Go Cowboys, go! All right, football blasting us today.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna go to the fun stuff.
Golf. Old goof.
Oh, golf.
All right, so now that we are through with our football stuff,
Hey, why don't you start with our new point structure?
that's exactly what I was going to do.
Oh, look
That's
at us.
exactly what I was going to do. So you guys, I'll give you that general breakdown real quick about the show. So once we get into golf, it's going to be that recap, and then it's going to be our shitty shot segment for who does the worst in certain categories, and then it's going to be our picks, outright, one and done, et cetera, et cetera. And then after that, if there's any news that we really, really need to talk about, we'll do that, as well as giving a course breakdown and kind of some of those key things that we want to look at. However, during this past week, we wanted to see, all right, hey, who's the best when it comes to this? We really need to figure that out. Absolutely. I mean, we always make it a competition with our shitty shots, different stuff. So we have to make it a competition throughout the entirety of the year as well. So how our points are going to get broken down. I see some more news, but
That's all our breaking news. Deion Sanders had 2 toes removed?
During his, I mean, he's been struggling. You know, he had his little cart that I guess he's also now down to 8 digits down on his feet there.
Lost 2 toes because of it.
Yeah, so sorry, just
that's
runs
fair.
popped up on my feed. I don't know
Still
if that's
runs a
NFL,
4.3.
if that's yeah, right. He runs 4.4 now. Join the rest of us.
So back to our
20
points.
yards or 40
All right,
yards?
back to points.
Back to our points breakdown. So how we're going to break this down is the winner of each category is going to receive 3 points. Second's going to get 2. Third is going to get 1. A miscut in all categories outside of your player to fade is 0 points. Extra points that can be earned throughout the week. If you choose an outright winner in all categories outside of your player to fade, in any of those top 4 categories, you earn an extra 5 points for that week. However, if you choose an outright winner and your player to fade, we're going to take away 5 points for that week.
I feel like I should get 5 for picking the absolute worst, best fade.
Stop.
Just saying. Just saying.
You said 20 earlier on the week, so at least you knocked it down to 5.
I went a little more realistic
But
with it. It's fine.
The guy hits 1 pick and he wants bonus points.
So to give one of those breakdowns, I'll give an
Spoiled.
example. I'll give an example here.
You're good.
So for this week, for the Arnold Palmer for our one and done picks, Stoy took Rory McIlroy. He finished 13th. Cole took Matt
hard.
Fitzpatrick. He went T9, and I took Paul Casey, who got 72nd.
He made the cut though.
He made
what
the cut.
A warrior.
He made the
I
cut.
think you got 25,000 points.
Yeah.
He might be wishing that he didn't, but he did.
Yeah.
Hey, he still
He
made
made
some
it.
money.
There's a lot of guys. There is a tweet I saw this week because of how tough the weekend was that they weren't sure if the tweet was something along the lines of the winner might not have made the cut or something along. Basically, that the winner was going to finish at worse than +3 or +4, whatever the cut line was for the first time.
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
And that was definitely in play.
Yeah.
For a lot of players because we saw
I
digits
love
in
that.
the high 70s,
Yes.
low 80s.
Yeah. Good job,
By a
Rory.
lot of guys.
So for our points perspective, Cole with that T9, he had the best finish, so he would get 3. Stoy, Rory had T13, he would get 2, and then I get 1 with Paul Casey because he did make the cut. I did get a point there, but he faltered quite a bit. So that's how those overall points are going to go. So so for these first 2 weeks, we didn't do it for the Genesis because we only took the one and done pick. We'd all get the exact same points anyways because we all finished T33 there. So for our overall standings right now, Cole is in the lead with 19. Stoy and I are tied for next with 15.
Can we keep track about who
are you
does
tied
the most shitty shots?
real quick? And, that's perfectly fine.
Right?
Real quick though,
It's going to be me.
are you guys tied for second or tied for third?
That's T2.
That's T2.
Okay, I was just
That's
curious.
a T2.
It's T2.
I mean, I would love the input.
I feel like you're
from
bringing
the,
that. I feel like
from
you're
the
bringing
crowd
something
here.
into it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm bringing
for the
something into
Honda
it.
for the Honda Classic, and we are going to do our weekly rank as well. So we have our champs just like we did in football. For the Honda Classic, that would have been Cole. He had 10 points. Stoy had 8 points. I had 5. This past week, I had 10 points. Cole had 9 points. Stoy had 7. So that's how we're going to do that. We're going to always keep those points each week.
I love the bottle, but
it's
towards the end, it's not good.
So we kind of alluded to it with what happened after the cut Saturday and Sunday. I mean, there was a lot of guys.
Let's start with Jason Day losing his mother. Not really losing her, but she's
that's why he withdrew.
And that's why he withdrew. So, heart to you, Jason Day, and that's why I went with Kevin Na on my dark horse. Every time I lose somebody, it ends up poorly for me this year. Just saying.
Should have picked somebody different.
Should have. All right.
I'd ride Na this week, though. He's due.
So,
yeah, he played so well.
So kind of our recap, guys. I mean, this week we actually did fairly well, not missing cuts.
I beg to differ.
I said fairly well, but I mean, overall our picks were, I mean, some of them looked pretty poor going into or after the weekend, but going into the cut line, I mean, some of them looked really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, Rory looked really, really good.
He's a round 1 leader.
Round 1 leader. What did you second round?
He tied second.
Shot par.
Yeah.
So
he was fine.
I mean, and then
Hovland came storming. Oh, Hovland.
Oh, Victor.
What a screw that one up on 17.
Well, not as bad as Woodland.
No, you're correct.
He hit a bunker shot like you did, or you would, or I would, or Ryan would.
Well, to be fair, did you see that lie?
No, he overthought the lie. The lie was actually better than being like it could have been worse.
It was not good.
No, it wasn't great, but he was. I mean, he should have got that ball out of the ball. He overthought the lie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, because even Bones, who was announcing, was like he expected him to hit a great shot out of that lie, and he left that thing in the bunker with a 1-stroke lead on 17.
It was embarrassing, and
then didn't make a 6-footer to keep himself in the tournament. I mean, he went eagle double to give his eagle back. So, I mean,
not good. Good thing he's not on.
But I mean, he still finished better than our guys. So, hey.
So I kind of went through that. I went through that one and done. Cole with the T9, Stoy with a T13. I did a 72nd outright winners. I mean, we all made the cut this week with our outright winners. I think it was last week. Sung Jae missed the cut by he
100.
just. Stoy was very, very close. Hovland came storming with that T2 finish. Matt Fitzpatrick just does what Matt Fitzpatrick does and gets another top 10.
Guy just doesn't make bogeys.
Gets another top 10.
He did on Sunday, but everybody did on Sunday. But, like, I mean, he shot 73, 71, 70, 73. Like, that is about as boring as you can get, but that's what was needed at that tournament. So,
and then I took Will Zalatoris, and he...
You know what that means?
He went T38.
Ben's, you know when you're outright winner and you're T38 and the rest of us are top 10, you know what that means?
Shitty shot. So shitty shot number 1 for this week, because we do have 2. We do have 2. So I will start us off here.
We do. I'm not even mad about the second one.
As we go down the list. But you're kind of salty.
I'm salty. It's a salty shot, and it's a pride shot because
salty. By the way, Ryan's winning the shitty shot.
Yeah, he's
for the year. He's got 2.
One would say he's killing it.
He is 2 for 2. He is actually.
It's kind of like when we play the par 3 shitty shots and he kills it at those
every time.
Last time we did that.
Yeah, you tied with Stoy.
I did all right.
Yeah, you didn't do too bad. Maybe you're getting better.
Hey,
we're about to be outside doing it.
Hey, I was in
practice.
I was an elements golfer, and my back 9 was better than my front 9.
So the score say
the hot dog at the turn was probably the difference maker.
That's why you start with a hot dog.
Start with a hot dog.
Start with a hot dog
at the turn.
No, it's just straight dogs. Start with a hot dog.
Oh, one of those.
Turn to the hot dog.
Good to hear
One of those
that you had a
concession
birdie
stand
later.
pizza pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, That's what I'd have at the turn.
Yeah. Well,
The old school, not the Hot Pockets. The old school concession stand, like Little League Hot Pockets.
let's get it. I mean,
If they had those at the turn, I'd probably eat one of those at the turn.
you probably
I
needed
did. I birdied
it after
18.
your 9.
Birdied 18.
Whole 9 was
Well, I was 3 under through 8.
Didn't end well.
And then I was even through 9.
So there's some things.
And then I was,
By the way,
8 over by the end of the round, and that was with a birdie on 18.
that was a 124-yard par 3 over creek, but not really in play.
After striking the ball well, obviously for 8 holes.
And
so
then
like
all of a sudden, nope.
No thought in my mind. And it wasn't even, I didn't even hit it in the water.
No.
Which was my biggest mistake.
Which was should have been in the
Because it
water.
took me 3 more shots to get it out of there.
Oh, love it.
Should have just said, "Oh, this is an unplayable lie, guys. Sorry, I can't do this."
Which I mean, probably technically was because if there wasn't ice on the, I would not have put my foot where I did to hit the, or attempt swinging, I should say, not hit.
You swung a couple times.
Yeah. So back to it.
Two
Dark
swings,
horse.
1 yard.
So back
Little
to it.
dark horse.
Dark horse. Stoy kind of alluded to it. Jason Day withdrew for reasons that we talked about. So he switched his pick to Kevin Na.
Who also withdrew. Oh no, wait, he didn't withdraw.
Big mistake.
He missed the cut with.
So he shot 14 over. What do you think he would have shot on the hard days?
40.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
So Kevin Na missed
I
the cut.
really
with
like that pick.
14
too.
over.
I have no idea.
I really liked it too.
I obviously don't see highlights of the bad guys, so I don't know.
Cole took Corey Connors. He finished T11. Good pick there. And then I took Cameron Young, and he went T13. So,
Bang bang.
and
Dudes doing what they're supposed to do.
and then to go to the next category, top 40 here. Stoy stuck with Kevin Na. He missed the cut. Cole went Luke List, who is actually playing really, really well this year, and I really liked that pick actually.
Yeah, there was.
Missed cut +5. Cut line was 4 over.
I just feel like, and here's the super disappointing part about that is that like Luke List's game actually plays better to the weekend conditions.
Yeah.
As far as just like he wouldn't shoot a super terrible score, but the same reason he missed the cut is the same reason he would have actually made the top 40 on the weekend. Yeah. So he wasn't aggressive enough and missed some shots Thursday, Friday, but I mean it is what it is.
Yeah, and then so our players to fade. This is where our second shitty shot will come into play. Stoy took Sung J M, faded him.
Can't be man.
He was 6th highest odds to start, and he finished 14 spots lower than that. So he was T20. Cole took Rory, who was the 2nd highest odds to win the tournament.
Do you have something to say?
Or 2nd best odds to win the tournament, I should say.
He shot +8 on the weekend.
He did.
And he finished.
So if you're in the top, if you're the first round leader, the second favorite betting line, and shoot 76-76 to go from first or T2 on day 2 to 13th, also tied 16th because that's how many guys were in a tie for 13th. That fade is solid.
That's good. But the rules.
A birdie on 17. I don't know. We can also clarified the rules. So like specifically this came up and I said, well, if it's 15th, I'm not taking a shot.
Yeah.
And he happened to get to 13 because of the number of guys that actually moved down the board to him. At one point, Young was literally in 15th all alone. And I'm staring at the leaderboard, and Rory has 3 to play and is T16. And there's a guy in 15th all alone, and he had to birdie one.
It was Cameron Young.
Was it Cameron Young?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy right there.
Yep. It was Cameron Young. Yeah.
He also finished T13.
This song
Yes.
is right here.
Yeah, he was tied 15th. That's how many people came back down because there ended up being 16 people in the T13 spot, whatever. And so Rory as a fade, I mean,
it's still double digit from where he started. So like it's still not a bad fade if you take him double digits from where he
From a
started.
fade standpoint, it's legit. But from a betting standpoint on a shitty shot, it's it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
We clarified. We talked rules. Rules is rules.
I was more sour that he played so shitty and then just randomly made 2 birdies in the last 6 holes.
Yeah, because he didn't do that all
Because he
weekend.
hit it to 2 feet on like 13 or 14 from 225 and tapped in for birdie as well, and then couldn't find a way like everyone else did to bogey 18. He made a par on 18 from like
You're
6
not wrong.
feet. I just needed him to just push a putt on 18 from 6 feet. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like he'll just not pay attention and he'll miss it. Nope.
That's what happens when you slip him a 20.
Love you, Rory.
Oh,
Is it good?
peppermint 99.
Oh, pep, a little pep.
Oh,
Oh, and then
That's a
Ryan
spicy
had
meatball.
Leishman.
Yeah, I took Leishman, who was the 10th best odds, and he finished T68.
That's a pretty good.
now that's a fade.
That's a fade.
I did
Do you
it.
think if we talk this up more, there will be a bet for fade?
Yeah, I think our bet. I mean, as we've talked about a lot of times, I mean, we should have a fade pick and we should have a slice pick.
Absolutely, because if you do that, if you slice Coles,
If you fade the fade,
if you fade the fade on Coles, you're gonna do pretty well.
right?
Pretty well. I mean,
Not this week, but
yeah. I mean,
but even this week, like which I would consider like a huge win for my fades. Again, the dude still finished T13.
he still finished T13. Right?
Like, if you had a top 20 bet on him, you were just fine.
Well, and that's
he was probably
we talked about
minus
that.
120
Kinda
to
cool.
top 20.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right? It's like fading Rom when he's got the best.
By the way, went back and looked at that.
We're gonna get into some strong player fades this week that I think they're little pansies when it comes to weather. So we're gonna
All
fade
right.
some pretty
Hold on.
Yeah.
some pretty
Before
big
you
boys
do
this
that.
week.
No, you're good. I was just finishing up here. I just wanted to make sure I had it pulled up over there.
Times me out.
Yeah, it timed me out, so I had to reconnect as well. I feel your pain.
How
So
many timeouts you got left? Is that
overall,
30
honestly,
second or full?
I mean, it was a pretty darn solid week for us, picks wise. Like it was a good week.
Strong, and I say this from a betting perspective as well. I think when the fields are strong, I think it's easier to build value and easier to build a stronger sheet when the fields are strong than it is in those random one-off weeks. And I think we'll see it again this week. You have to choose your 1 or 2 guys that aren't going to perform. But I think if you put the right sheets together, you can be very successful and more successful in weeks like the competitive weeks, just because the cream seems to rise to the top a little bit more in these events.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you made a good point, but I think at the same time, stronger fields, like with that top end picks, it just
tougher
makes
to
them
pick a
so
winner.
much harder. Especially when we keep alluding back to this. There's so many guys that haven't won in the past,
Right.
that are winning, or maybe it's been a long time since they've won that are winning, and there's new faces at the top of the leaderboard that's just making these picks harder and harder.
However, when there's strong fields like this, the fades part's gonna be real fun. I alluded to it's gonna be real fun.
When
So-
you fade 1 and 2, you better bring some ammo. Yeah.
Stoy's going to love this week. From talking about a standpoint, from a defensive mindset standpoint, he's going to love this week.
This course is gonna eat them alive.
Yes. So for
as
Arnold
much as
Palmer
last
will go
week.
back. Arnold Palmer will go back. A pretty good overall week. Again, I ended with 10 points. Cole ended with 9 points. Stoy ended with 7 points.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Thoughts? I mean, Rory McIlroy complained about the course conditions on the weekend from a scoring perspective, but his point was, yes, if you hit it out of the fairway, the rough penalized you. But his point was, if I hit it in the fairway and I tried to hit it close, or if I hit a fairway shot, the fairway wouldn't hold because it was too fast. So the course wasn't rewarding good shots in his mind. What are your guys' thoughts on, I know you like a tough course. Rory, Rahm, all of those guys love tough courses. The best guys in the world want the tough courses because it keeps the riffraff away that is just your scratch golfer type of guy that can win. But they also want a fair course to where if they are hitting good golf shots, they get rewarded. And I think that was Rory's complaint this week. Some people are going to take it. If you don't like Rory, you can take it and you can say that he's a whiner. But
Right.
I respect Rory and what he says. I think he brings a very truthful edge to the game.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's sincere with
Yeah, he is.
with what he talks about.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
When I say I
For the
love
weekend round.
when I love a tough course, I mean the course itself. You get in trouble, you're in trouble, right? Pin location's really tough, but it still has to be playable. Now, this weekend was going to be on the borderline. It's still playable, right?
On the red line. There's
But-
guys that shot under par, so
it was fine. It still has to hold. You still have to be able to hold the green, right? It's still, to me, it's if you are in the fairway and you have a short iron in and you land it on the front and it still goes by, that's a problem. Right. Or last year when I think it was Kuchar or somebody putting, it was so windy that the wind affected his putt and threw it off the green.
right,
That's not golf. That's not. You shouldn't be playing in that.
right.
That's
but I
not
mean, you
to
have
me-
to at times. So
You
then,
have
like
to at
that brings
times.
the mental fortitude portion
Correct.
of it in.
Which is where I love it. But I'm saying, like, I agree with him in those standpoints. You still have to play it, though, because they're all playing in it. But in terms of what I love about a course, no, this week with it's going to be wet. Wet means spin, and wet means that they're going to be able to just drop dimes if they're in the fairway. You get in the rough,
Right.
water, ball,
Yeah, right.
flyers,
Absolutely.
who knows,
Absolutely.
right? So that's where this is really fun for me this weekend because it's going to take really good shots are going to be amazing. But the ones that are a little off, they're going to be off, and it's going to be really fun. Assuming they can. The problem this weekend will be I think it'll be less about weather per se, except for Saturday. More about how many rounds and how do they. Is this going to be a Monday finish? Are they
Or
you know,
Tuesday? I
or
mean, I don't
Tuesday?
know.
Like
Right,
you just don't know. That is going to come into play, I think, more than the weather. Assuming the weather reports are right, and by the way, weathermen are rarely accurate. It seems like, but that's my answer.
Right.
I mean, I think that's a good transition into jumping into our course breakdown here.
Yeah.
So, course breakdown. Stoy, if you want to pull it up, I'll throw this YouTube up here.
I need to push a button. The button's been pushed.
We'll get this one playing.
One of
All
these
right.
days, it'd be cool if we had like sound, like the music.
So I am going
want their
to
job.
go a little bit lower on this to make it easier for the guys editing.
No, you can turn it off. I love my voice. Oh, they even have a ball tracer in this? Well, this is legit.
So this is
getting
slowed down, by the way,
Don't
guys.
ride the roller coaster.
This is slowed down, by the way. But okay, so for our course breakdown, we stay in Florida to TPC Sawgrass Players Stadium course. A little Pete Dye design. Have you ever played on a Pete Dye design course?
So you want to pause it around the green, just so like I know he has notes and he can talk through it.
No, yeah, I don't have anything too specific that we'll get into. We'll get into a couple holes, but we're okay right now.
Do you want to say what the yardage and stuff are before it starts flying through?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so now we're on hole 3 already.
So total yardage, 7,200, a little over 7,200, 7,256 to be exact.
So fast.
Pull off of that.
So fast.
That's half
Here?
speed too.
That is half speed.
Because it's a
Absolutely.
drone. We're flying with the
drone.
drone
Yeah,
here.
we're flying with the drone here. So 7,256 total yardage, par 72, 4 par 5s, 4 par 3s. 3 of the par 5s are reachable by basically anybody. And then 1, the par 5 ninth, you have to get into it a little bit. You have to have something behind it.
Well,
Par 3s.
because you're hitting less than driver off the tee most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that, absolutely. Hazards, there's bunkers and water play basically on every single tee shot, and a lot around the greens as well. One interesting stat here, 24 acres of water on this course. That's a lot. That's a lot of water.
Better bring a boat.
Fairways are narrow, tree-lined, and there's a ton of dog legs with this course. So, I mean, to Cole's point, it's going to be a lot of times less than driver, or with it being in the conditions that it is, maybe we see a little bit more driver just because that. Greens are right around a 13, so they're fast and they're small, but that kind of fits to a lot of these guys' this game. Ball strikers, good putters, overseeded with POA and bent grass, kind of looking like with the weather that they might be soft and receptive, just kind of depends. But that's what it looks like.
I mean, if it starts raining on Tuesday, there's no chance they could. How would they firm it up?
Yeah. So overall course,
Cover 'em?
like I mentioned,
They haven't yet.
Yeah.
lots of dog legs and direction changes, tee to green. Again, could be less than a driver course. Maybe we'll see some Adam Scott two woods. Again, he played pretty darn well at the Arnold Palmer with that.
Typical 2-wood.
Yeah. So we can jump into the weather here since we're talking about that, and that's going to play into a factor of how this course really plays. Looking like 72 degrees, thunderstorms on Thursday with southwest 14-mile-an-hour winds. Friday, it's going to get cooler throughout the weekend. So 70 degrees Friday, showers and thunderstorms, up to 1 inch of rain is kind of the big thing that they were talking about. A little bit less winds, but every single day, winds change direction here. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to navigate these courses. Saturday.
It combines. So Pete Dye courses, for those that aren't familiar, the main design idea is that no one hole or no consecutive holes run in the same direction. A cut player versus a draw player nobody's supposed to have any advantage because as far as comfort or anything like that, Pete Dye is designing this for every golfer. And the challenge is supposed to be that no one style of play can dominate a Pete Dye design golf course. So with that in mind, as winds change direction, as weather affects, that's a whole nother level of not being comfortable with, the wind's right to left today all day on a course that I'm already I'm not supposed to be comfortable on.
Yeah.
And so that is just exacerbated to another degree when you bring weather into a Pete Dye design course. The softness will help, but just to that point, that is definitely something to watch and consider as the rounds go on.
Yeah, and I think that with the weather, you got to start even earlier, like Tuesday, rain, Wednesday, rain with wind.
It was nice today there. They got a little bit of rain, but it was fairly nice there today.
And that's what we've talked about a lot these past couple weeks is there's been some early week weather, but now it's, hey, you're in the thick of things. Every single day is weather. So if we keep going throughout the weekend, 68 on Saturday, the temps just fall though.
Right.
Saturday, it's just falling temps. 22-mile-an-hour winds, west-northwest, but 22, that's going to be probably the highest that we're going to see throughout the weekend if it's consistent. Maybe some gusts on some of the other days that get above that, but 22 on Saturday is going to really be the windiest day. And then Sunday, it's going to be, for that area, cold. For us, it's beautiful weather. Maybe not necessarily the 14-mile-an-hour winds, but mostly sunny.
It's going to be brisk.
Mostly sunny at 53 degrees is kind of what we're looking at there. So, I mean, that weather,
although
again, like
Thursday,
I said,
it's going to be an advantage.
Yeah, like I said, again, it's chilly for them on Sunday. But, yeah, so that weather is just going to be a factor. One thing that's pretty interesting that I've read more and more about this course, so some minor details. So this did move from May to March a few years ago. So this used to be played in May, which changes drastically how this course is played, how the grass is growing throughout those next couple weeks or months. Right. As well as one thing that's pretty interesting to keep in mind, superintendents here have a ton of power. And the reason they do is sub-air systems under the greens and the fairways. So for those who don't know, basically a sub-air system is like a giant vacuum where they can kind of control the moisture and stuff in the soil underneath the greens and fairways. So them being able to dictate the parameters around this is actually pretty darn interesting. So that's actually a really, really cool thing here. I don't know why this is just jumping.
Won't that be kind of crazy to think about? Like if they really went crazy on being able to get the greens to where they want them, but the fairways are wet, so they're like you're going from like mushy to hard greens and
right. I mean, I think a lot of it too. I mean, that being said, you can make a soaked green
hard,
and And that's my point, is that you can only take so much.
And that's kind of
green.
That's kind of what I've read too, is like there's only so much that you can, if it's consistently raining.
Right.
Yeah, you can affect it, but that's why, I said soft and receptive. Right. There's only so much that they're going to be able to do depending on the amount of water that they're going to get.
Placements might not be traditional.
Right. But the biggest thing with this course is, so Arnold Palmer last week, rough, started at 4 inches, probably got to 5-6 inches by the weekend type of thing, and then everything else got fast. On this course, the rough isn't terrible, but what's terrible is when you get outside of like fringe rough, is they've got moguls, they've got big ass trees.
Oh yeah,
so you've got bad lies, you've got something in your line, you've got the big misses are going to be penalized huge based on this course, way more so than like if you could miss in the right spot at Arnold bad, you could be like in like a like a walking area or anything like that, whereas like the small misses here aren't nearly as bad as the small misses at Arnold were. Like if you barely missed the fairway at Arnold, you were immediately penalized by terrible, like probably the worst of the rough because nobody walked in it.
And that's part of the design here too, is so there's a ton of mounds on the sides of fairways and different stuff because Dye wanted to make it a fan interactive course. Right. So if you miss and you're on one of those mounds and you're going in and you have a weird lie going into a green and there's sand and there's water and there's stuff all around there, and
now throw some rain in there.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have to really, really pay attention to, okay, how's my ball going to react to this?
Yep.
It's cold, it's wet. How's the spin going to be on this ball? Is it going to, fade as much as I want? Is it going to draw as much as what I expect? We don't know. Right. But that's something that players are going to have to just be strategic about, and it's going to be pretty darn interesting. Mm-hmm. Jumping into the field this week, we talked about strength field. 48 of the top 50 players in the world are playing this week. Yeah. Field of 144 players. Couple names, obviously, that are qualified but aren't playing. The Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. You got Bryson DeChambeau. Those guys aren't playing.
Steve Stricker and Harris English.
There you go. You finished out. Harris
English and DeChambeau are the top 50 guys.
So you finished it out for me.
Yeah,
appreciate that. So it's a really good field this week. We talked about last week being a solid field, and then you jump to this, which is Stoy likes to talk about it. A lot of people like to talk about it. Basically, the fifth major.
Go
right. So
as it should be.
Course history here. The biggest thing that I found is past winners don't have a lot of success the next year. I think it was 2005, from what I read, Adam Scott was T8 the year after he won it. And that's the last time a player has won it and ended in the top 10. Mm-hmm. That doesn't bode well for my picks, I think, this week, and guys that I like, but that's something there. So key metrics. I don't know if
be fading. Let's put it that way.
Do you got some key metrics that you're looking at this week, Cole?
Absolutely. So just to go back to the tournament itself, I mean, the reason it's considered the fifth major, $20 million purse.
3.6 to the winner.
3.6 to the winner. The top, to stay on the 3.6 or the 3 and the 6, the top 36 golfers will make six figures this weekend. So basically, if you have a top 40 finish, you will make at least $100,000 this weekend. So for those scoring at home last week, I think you only had to finish like plus 4 or 5 last week at the API to make $100,000. So if you out there at home can finish plus 5 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, you could be a 100,000-aire. Wait, I probably shouldn't. I'm not giving the money, so I probably shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, biggest purse in golf history. As far as single tournament payout, the $20 million is the highest purse that has ever been paid out in golf.
There's 15 million more dollars in purse money this year than what was last year.
Yes. So obviously guys are showing up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, literally every dude that got in this field, and I mean, there might be a few exceptions, thinks they can finish in the top 40 of a golf tournament. You don't get into a golf tournament in a professional mindset if you don't think you can finish top 40.
Right.
You know, I mean, a lot of guys, and you hear like Kevin Kistner talk about it, or or those guys that have been on the tour a long time and have success from just consistency, say it all the time, is like, I can't keep up with the young guns. Yeah, I might win a tournament here or there, but like the reason I make money and the golf is what I do is because I can make par.
Yeah.
You know, and can I make par for 4 rounds? And I think I saw a tweet somewhere this week that it was like, here's what par would have gotten you this year, and it was over $700,000 in prize money.
Right.
And that was like 2 or 3 missed cuts. Because earlier in the year, you know, you had the Stoy Hater tournaments that, you know, you had to shoot 24 under or whatever. But literally par, if you shot every round of golf at 72 or whatever par was for that course this year, you were making over $500,000 so far in the year.
And we've been through what? 10, 12? I don't know how many tournaments we're on. We're not.
Right. So that mindset.
We're on our first major right now.
Of top 36 of even par golf this week will make you 6 figures.
I mean, even par golf last week was a T11 finish.
Correct. Yeah. So, and there's not going to be any difference this week. Like, I can say with confidence that even par golf, like, will make you 6 figures this weekend.
Yeah.
Because it'll make the cut.
It might be a top 25 finish.
It might be a top 20. It was a T11 last week, and we don't have the weather that we have this week. Now, there's some other things. This is a little bit shorter course, keeping with the course breakdown, but it calls for so many more things from
golf shots.
Can you play in the rain? So do you have the mental toughness to play in the rain? Can you hit the shots that are required in the wind? So the combination of those two on Saturday, I think youth is going to play a little bit of factor in that. Very likely we're going to have delays in this tournament. So can you come back, or can you play more than 18 holes competitively and not see the fatigue factor?
In those elements.
On
top of it.
I mean, Sunday we're going to have pretty good weather. I don't know what the weather is Monday, but I would say there's a better than 50-50 chance that this tournament finishes on Monday.
Yeah.
Simply because of all the weather we're going to see late in days, especially on Thursday, Friday.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, so small fairways, driving accuracy going to be, and driving accuracy fairways, but even driving accuracy like just missing fairways is okay.
Yeah.
And at this course, 150 yards and in. So wedge and in. How close can you get it to the hole? And then this is an execution course. So can you execute golf shots? Can you go out with a plan and be okay with par?
Yeah.
And then make your birdies on 2 or 3 par 5s. And way more this week than last week from a how far can I bomb it out there and still make pars on the other holes is, can I make 18 pars?
Yeah.
And so can I make 18 pars in the rain? Can I make 18 pars in the wind? There's only a handful of guys on the tour that can do that. And all of the guys will tell you, like, I'll be ready because I know it's coming. And, you know, we've seen surprise rain this year already.
Yeah.
We've seen a course that surprisingly dried out last week because players weren't prepared for that.
No.
And, you know, Rory was specifically flustered. I mean, punch drunk was the word that I saw in headlines, from a golf course. And, like, this guy's a professional golfer who's probably one of the top 5 paid golfers of all time. Not probably, is.
Right.
Who was punch drunk
from
a weekend of competitive golf at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which is like, you know, I mean, everybody likes an Arnie.
Right.
Like, everybody loves the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, those guys get frazzled too. Like, just like we do. Those guys shoot 83, Paul Casey. Those guys shoot 76, 76, Rory McIlroy on the weekend. And those are the best guys in golf. So, first of all, for every one of us out there on Friday afternoons and on the weekends, settle down. You're not as bad as you think you are, and nor will you be as good as you think you can be.
Yeah.
But also, like, the mental space between the ears, that's going to be an outlast. It's a survivor
It's a
tournament
survivor
this weekend.
tournament.
I think the worst round of a guy that made the cut was an 86. I think.
Yeah.
Was one of those two. Like he shot an 86.
Love
I mean, I shot an 88 at Toad Valley.
Right.
Yeah. Your front side was rough.
Hey, I started -3 and shot +8, so
Here's the
Come on.
opposite of rough.
kept
and then
kept her under 80.
So you talked about it. It's the pars, it's the driving accuracy, or some of those big key metrics that you're really looking at, and ball striking obviously is going to play a big factor from that 150 in. I kind of have a lot of the same thing. So I have proximity 125 to 175. Right. So take that average 150.
Here's my question for you: were you able to find any metrics? And I know this is a very tough metric, but the word that I saw out there was
Good drive.
no mutter. Who are the best
Mud
mutters?
balls?
MUDDER, meaning that
Rory McIlroy. I kept seeing his name. He's the best mutter on tour.
I mean it's the European guys because they play when it rains.
They play in
Yeah.
the weather.
They play in the rain,
Yep.
and so like you keep coming back to those
No.
guys, and then you keep like guys with high ball flight, guys that are fair weather players, guys, like those guys might be some of the best in the world and most likely are. And my fades will show that. But that's 4 days. Like one day, those guys might play well. But for 4 days, you're going to have to outlast the weather this week. Mother Nature this is a top 50 field, and Mother Nature is everyone's number one opponent this week.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, my two biggest ones, and I think one of them falls right in line with a tweet, I think, or it was a quote from Tiger saying he won so much because he was the best lag putter in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite metrics this week is 3-putt avoidance, which falls right into hand with your pars.
Right.
And then the next one that I didn't really look a ton on this, and I probably should have looked a little bit more, was just scramble ability.
Mm-hmm.
How good are you saving from a scramble position? Because I think with the weather, with the hazards, with a lot of that stuff that we're going to see, bad lies, that's going to be a big thing.
I mean, we didn't give this guy a shout out, and we should have. Scott Scheffler.
Scotty.
He winner of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, made
2 of his last 3.
2 of the most absurd pars. The dude hit it behind a tree and tried to make the smart play and hit out the first time and left it in the shaggy rough. So he's hitting 3 into a par 4 from 180 in a terrible lie, and then makes an 18-footer to save par to give himself a chance. And then basically does the same thing on the par 5.
Yeah.
Hits it from the bunker rough into the rough again, trying to get out, and then blasts a shot up there and hits it to 7 or 8 feet and makes another par. Like, they weren't even birdies. They weren't anything flashy. The dude made gritty-ass pars
to win.
And,
If
like,
not, we're gonna
that's
have,
what
like,
it takes. Like, that's the Tiger factor, though, of, like, no, it's not always pretty. Tiger he wasn't the best because it was pretty.
Right.
He was the best because the mental toughness of this course isn't going to beat me, and that guy, you name the guy, isn't going to beat me, is what won it. And Scheffler is, I mean, watch out.
This year.
Everybody was predicting it. He was the breakout guy and whatever. But until you do it, like,
Right. You have to do it.
because it's the mental part. Like, nobody knows his mental makeup until he shows it.
Right.
And damn, like his 2 wins are impressive. So, not picking him this week is like, what the hell are you doing?
Now can he do it in majors?
I mean, yeah, but this still isn't a major.
No, but I mean, like
But
that's
he did it on the Ryder Cup.
He did.
So, I don't question mental fortitude for that guy at all. Like, I think
mental fortitude.
His first major is coming this year in my mind. Mm-hmm. I just had to pick the right one.
Which one?
Yeah, right.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what pick do we want to start with this week? We've changed it up each week.
Do we want to look at any of the holes specifically at all? Or are we good? I mean, kind of obvious this week with the holes. Like, I know we did a flyby of stuff, but I mean, the finishing holes here are, that's the signature.
Gorgeous.
It's 16, 17, 18. It is.
Right. I mean, there's 16.
It is gorgeous par 5 with risk reward all around. I mean, you're getting to this thing in 2 if you hit the drive where you're supposed to.
You got to go the other way, bud.
You got.
I was trying to get the whole.
You got water. You got trees. You got bunkers.
I mean, how much? You know what you're getting here,
right?
And
you could. I mean, you have to score in order to win on this hole, and then you go to the iconic 17.
17. Go to 17.
The Island Green, and it's just intimidating. It's
the wind is going to eat these guys alive on this one,
right?
And that's
how
where
do you play. Like, how do you play this one specifically? Because you have to land it here, right?
Middle.
You have to land it
middle of the green.
Land in the sand.
When there's wind and then the rain, like rain that we don't think about is the rain affects the ball. Like the rain is hitting the ball.
Depending on how hard it's raining.
Right. So like if it's raining hard and there's wind, do you know how hard this is going to be able to hit?
There was.
All right, but it's an intimidating factor. But it's hard. And so like you add that to it and you're going to see, I mean, guys need to hit more club.
So that's exactly what I was going to allude to. Tiger has talked about this, keeping a low ball flight, keeping it out of the wind. He has talked about hitting a 6-iron into this. Mm-hmm. So that's 37 yards from what you can see here. In our eyes, like we're hitting 9-iron, pitching wedge, maybe a little like
this weekend
that's
driver.
You know, like that's what we're looking at. And then all of a sudden you hear the best player in the world saying, yeah, I'm probably hitting a knockdown 6, a 6-iron into there that I lower the ball flight, I keep it out of the wind, and I just try and put it in the center of the green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I would too if I could lag putt like him.
That's the big thing. And that's the thing. Like Thursday through Saturday, that's fine. But on Sunday, if I'm chasing.
You can't put it in the middle of the green.
And right now, Sunday looks like the best weather day. So like maybe not a factor from a perspective of that. But if it finishes on Monday and weather becomes a factor. So Thursday through Saturday, you got to stay dry. And I mean, obviously they all have that, want to or whatever. But like you've got to find a way to keep your ball dry. Greens are not going to be overly fast. So your lag putting should be solid this week. More solid for some than usual, I would even say. Because you're going to get bad lag putting way more with fast greens than you are with slow greens.
If it finishes Monday, by the way, 69 degrees, sunny.
So like the players are actually probably hoping for they're probably hoping for a cancel on Friday.
Or just Thursday or something. And
Thursday they're going to get early guys out and they're going to be fine. So like they're probably hoping for a cancel all day Friday type of thing. And just so they can play Saturday, Sunday, Monday, honestly. But that's not going to happen. The PGA will play through most of, if not all, and they might finish on Sunday. So we'll see. But definitely a factor. 18, finishing par 4. There's water left. I mean, it's as easy as it is.
Water left and trees right.
And trees right. Bunkers lining both sides of the fairway to a point where you've got to be accurate with the drive.
I mean, you see distance to the center of scoring zone right here.
Right.
I mean, you're seeing 292.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to see a lot of 3-woods.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see these guys just, again, less than driver hole.
Yeah.
Maybe we see driver and them try and cut the corner and give them a really, maybe an easier approach shot on a Sunday when they're trying to make a chase for it.
Right.
But I think, like you said, it's going to be less than driver hole. Get yourself an approach.
I mean, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's 5 what I would call less than driver par 4s on this from a perspective of comfort zone for pros or attack zone. Pros don't like to hit shots, and we've talked about this from 40 to 90 yards. Like, that's not a comfort zone. That's not an attack zone for them. It's not an attack zone for us. We think it is, because we probably try to hit a lot of shots from that distance and do so unsuccessfully. So, I mean, that flaws in the amateur game, don't get me wrong. But, like, that's not a scoring zone for any golfer, including the pros. Like, they want to be 110 or 120 or 140, like, where they can hit full clubs and be confident because they know their numbers. It's not half swings or flighted swings or anything like that. But that, again, is where the weather comes in, is that you're going to have to flight the ball differently. You're going to have to use different clubs.
In different numbers.
Wedges in wet ground, as we all know, like the steeper the club, the more so you want to go down to a different club to just feel like where you can consistently pick the ball up and not take ground with your swing. You know, hitting an 8-iron 120 on a smooth swing versus trying to power a sand wedge there where if you catch it a little fat, that ball's only going 60, 80 yards. Like, those things come into mind, even for the best in the world.
That's if your club doesn't slip under it and it goes a foot or two.
Right. And I mean, not for them, but like those are the thought things that completely change confidence of a golf swing. And those who can flight the ball and confidently take those swings in the wind, in the rain, without that mental impact, that's going to be what wins the golf tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. So let's jump into it. Now that you said win the golf tournament,
who's going to win it?
Let's go outright winner. Who's going to win?
Who's going to win it?
Colin.
Ooh.
You typing it in, or I can do it.
You can. I was going to get the live odds plus 13.
I have it.
It's 1,300.
That's one of the nice things about.
I mean, I look at the weather, and I just think that of the top guys, and this is a tournament where you're taking top guys, he's been the most solid in all of his starts. You go back to how terrible the conditions were when he won the British Open last year. And from a mental perspective, it doesn't get any worse. This tournament is not going to be remotely close to wind conditions that he played in at the British Open last year, and frankly dominated the field.
He's the best ball striker in the world. So as long as his putts are good, he might win by a couple strokes.
Increased his putting efficiency, and on greens that are going to be slower, like he's not going. I mean, he might not make as many putts, but honestly, like if he's in position, what do we say? Par's going to win. Yeah. He's going to make pars, and like that's what matters. And honestly, he's the guy I trust the most in the top 10 guys in the world, and I have to believe that they're the top 10 for the reason, and that he is the guy that I trust the most to strike the ball where it needs to be struck and do what he needs to do over 4 days to win the golf tournament. Based on what he's done this year, what he did last year, and what other guys have done this year or not done this year. I like Rory for certain reasons, but I also don't like Rory because he's proven to be a little bit of a mental midget. And like that, I mean, that sounds negative, but the facts are the facts. Like obviously the course got into his head this last weekend
now,
and he knew the conditions. Everybody played the same conditions. So like, that's the thing about golf to me is like these guys that want to complain about course conditions is like,
everyone's playing that. I think the difference for Rory this week will be because it's softer, so his shots, good shots will stick.
I completely agree.
So I think
he was the other guy that I was thinking.
He is weaker mentally, but if you had to choose between Colin or really any of the top 5 against Rory and you were leaning that way, that makes a lot of sense. However, I think the mental fortitude this week is different for Rory because his shots will be rewarded. The ball's not going to go skimming away or running through the fairway. It's just not going to happen. Right?
Yeah. So I mentioned it a little bit in my course history, and one thing that past winners don't do, but I love JT to win this tournament. I love Justin Thomas. I think he's the big thing that I like in some of the stuff that we talked about. Between that 125 to 175, he's one of the best ball strikers in the world. And that's one of the things that I want to go with on this one. I think I lean more towards that 150, maybe a little bit back just with the weather. And he's still, obviously, he's 4th in the world in that, and he's 2nd in the world in 125 to 150. So we're going back to back. JT.
To back.
It's so many reasons. But we're fade. I mean, I don't. I mean, we might as well go straight to fade.
Can I say my pick?
Fade the fade.
How'd you say my pick?
No, I don't really care.
You don't really care?
I figured you were going with Rory again.
No, I can't. I can't do
Yeah,
outright.
yeah.
I
just
could do
figured
that.
you
I
would.
could do Rory. No, I'm going Hovland, baby.
Okay.
He's hot this year.
Back to back.
and
I
I
mean, isn't there a rule against that?
There isn't on outright. Only one and done, bud.
Okay, that's fair.
Only one and done.
Whatever.
I think he's going to continue to play well in the misses he had last week because of weather. He's going to make up for those this week. Now we can go to player.
So Stoy, you'll like this even better. So I looked at the odds. Rom and Morikawa are tied at 1,300. So
okay.
you get an extra. You get an extra position there.
T1.
Yeah.
I like it.
So start us off with your player to fade because clearly Stoy has clearly Cole has a controversial player to fade.
Yeah. Well, Rom. Apparently T1 in the odds. Should have faded him last week. He looked flustered, if is the word I'll use last week. He's going to be flustered this week. He does not do well mentally compared to everyone else. And being at the top, he's gonna fall. So I'm going with Rom this week and sticking to it, not changing it to M this week. However, they ended up finishing relatively the same.
Yeah. So I'll go next. My player to fade. I just didn't like fading a lot of these players. I thought a lot of them were going to play pretty darn well. But my guy has been steady Eddie all year in his top 10s. But I'm going to fade him this week in a tougher field. I'm fading Matt Fitzpatrick. He is the 13th best odds to win the tournament, but that's my guy to fade.
I like how we prop him up with only does top 10s. He's 13th. I'm gonna fade him.
That's what I said. He's my steady Eddie. Like he's just
steady Eddie. You're gonna go against him.
I'm going against him. I mean, even more so if we're talking about steady Eddie is Scotty Scheffler maybe than Matt Fitzpatrick, but Fitzpatrick is my
tough.
guy.
So that's Scheffler was my number 2 on this.
Yeah,
it's tough to go back to back.
But
all right, go ahead.
But there's a lot of other picks you can
go ahead.
Do. Like
so, full disclosure, we have our Survivor one and done pool. The before I looked at the weather, the person that I picked to win this week was JT. I will now be post-weather fading JP. Or JT, excuse me. He's not a he's a high ball flight. There's a reason he's so good from 125 to 150. His ball flight
ball comes down soft.
Is beautiful.
Yep, absolutely.
He's not a guy that I see grinding for 4 days through wind, rain, and crap. And he won last year. Ryan, you said it. This course is not kind for whatever reason. Doesn't really make a lot of sense because you would think that ball strikers year in and year out could finish top 10. Right. And we've had one guy in the last 17 years, 18 years finish top 10 back to back. So like, when I that in combination with the weather has moved JT from a Monday Survivor pick to being my fade.
To a Tuesday fade.
So fade the fade.
Fade the fade. Which is good for Ryan,
right.
Although that means we have another shitty shot.
Right. But like I'm fading myself, so am I also fading the fade? I don't know.
So you faded the fade.
So like last week my pick was Adam Scott, but then I changed to Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Which looked bad early because Scott finished 4 under on day 1,
right.
But then ended up lower than Fitzpatrick overall. So I went with psycho babble head talk of I'm going to pick a guy and then pick another guy again. So I'm fading my own fades.
Fading your own fades?
Are we doing just slicing all over the board?
Are we doing the same thing with the top 15 because they're in
no?
second?
I'm not doing top 15. Top 15's garbage.
I'm pulling this up. I'm pulling this up.
10. Like 10
because
spots
if you would not,
or top 10.
You would not bet JT outside of the top 10 to win anything.
I agree.
Significant.
I agree.
So that's where I'm going.
Yeah,
and I should have said that last week, and I'm mad that I didn't.
Well,
so
he
now I'm making
like
up
20, and I was like, that's
way too low. I know. The fact that I settled in the middle, you're welcome.
Yeah.
10.
I appreciate it.
10 it is. I'm in.
10.
I'm in. So I did. There is a strokes gained scrambling around the green.
That's fine.
JT is 10th in the world right now.
I don't really care about scrambling. I care about if the dude can play in the rain and not be mad because he's too damn preppy for 4 days.
That's what I went with.
The dude doesn't grow up in Europe. He doesn't play in the crap weather.
That's fair. But
Like,
I'm sticking with him.
I mean-
I like myself some JT. You
that's
hate
fine.
yourself some JT. Well,
No,
you
I
liked.
hate him.
There's
He's
a lot of
fading
hate.
him.
Liked.
There's love-hate.
He's
Until the weather.
fading him.
I'm just and again,
I just love that there's 2 shitty shots again.
I'd be remiss if I did not say that the fact that no one has repeated top 10 for 17 years didn't play a little bit more into that than what I had already intended after seeing that stat. So, that is what it is.
Reminds me of that stat of the Navy Army under.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why
Right.
why go against that
Right.
until it proves?
Exactly.
So
that was our outright winner, or that was our pick?
We went outright, then we went player to fade. So we can jump. Let's just kind of work our way up. Let's end with one and done picks. So let's work our way up. Let's go to top 40 next. I like this guy a lot. In the metrics that we talked about,
There's a lot of value in the top 40 this week, by the way.
Yeah. And a guy that 3-putt avoidance, like I talked about, 25th in the world. Strokes gained between 125 to 175. He's sitting right around 40th in the world. Strokes gained approach, he's 32nd in the world. Strokes gained total, 37th. Keegan Bradley at plus 195 is my pick for the top 40 this week.
Oh, Keegan, man, where's he been?
He's playing good
Mr.
golf.
Tourette's, who flips his club 1,000 times where he hits it. I got nothing on him.
He's playing pretty good golf this year.
That's an aggressive top 40 pick, just because I know he's got to be getting great odds top 40. What's that?
195 plus 195
plus 200. Yeah, right.
Hey, my plus 230 last week with Kazire went T32. So
I've done 125 each week,
absolutely.
and it doesn't work. So I'm still going to ride with that. I'm going J Day. This is more of a heart pick.
Yeah.
Had him last week.
That's fair.
I got to pull him in, and again, assuming that he does play, but again, same things as last week. He's been playing well, and hopefully he's healed. But now, I think he's going to be playing with a little heavy heart. So I'm gonna go J Day top 40, as he should,
I like it.
Top 40. I'm going full Euro. Shane Lowry.
Shane Lowry.
He's actually a guy I strongly considered for winning the damn tournament. When I saw that he was plus 110, top 40, I kind of stopped right there. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of value, plus 100 and above, I think, for this week. Obviously, you got to be careful with the weather, but I mean, guys that have had success at the tournament, Days plus 125, but I mean, Sergio's had a ton of success at this tournament. Gary Woodland played really well last week, flighter of the golf ball, a grinder of golf in general. I mean, that guy's plus 110 as well. That's a lot of good plus money. Tom Hoagie's played great golf all year. That dude's he's a Korn Ferry grinder. Drop a lot of names, but there's just a lot of grinder guys in that plus 100 to plus 175, 185 range that are great value picks and bets for this week for top 40. I think that you can make a lot of good money off of.
I was really unhappy that Lowry wasn't going to be part of our dark horse picks.
Right.
But he's just playing too good, like you said. But I was really mad because he was going to be my dark horse guy.
Right.
Yeah. I completely agree. I like him a lot. I think he's the one thing that I didn't like is he doesn't have a ton of metrics, U.S. metrics just yet. So you can't really figure out exactly.
But Hatton for me last week did that. He kind of proved himself.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, right. I mean,
I know
the guys had a ton of course success, and again, those guys have they know how to flick the ball. They know how to grind through shit weather, and I think that's just going to be this weekend's going to be a grind, whether it's the stop start or just the conditions themselves. So,
amen. With that, let's start with you, Cole, on dark horse pick. You finished that one, so let's start here.
And I want to verify that this is correct, but last I checked, Tyrell Hatton was plus 5,500.
He is plus 5,500.
That's absurd. I wrote 4 names down for my top picks, and 2 of my 4 names were my top 40 and my long shot pick. So, like, I know I didn't know the rules until you came out with them today. If one of those 2 guys wins, I am not going to be remotely surprised. And if Tyrell Hatton wins this week, I would be like, Tyrell Hatton would be one of 5 guys I would pick to win this tournament. If I was putting $100 on 5 guys, Tyrell Hatton would be one of them.
I mean, the odds are there.
5,500.
Yeah, the odds are there to make sense. It makes sense to sprinkle something on there, especially when you're that high on him. He just had T2. He's been playing great overseas, even if he hasn't been playing great here, or hasn't played a bunch here. I mean, is what I meant. But he's playing great right now, so can't hate on it.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, he's plus 130 for top 30.
I don't get. There were. I looked at numbers.
I might have to switch my
yesterday
dark horse.
and looked at numbers again today, and I am
flip
with the weather
210 for
as
20?
well. Like I get that this is a loaded field, so you're going to have a lot of guys that have odds. So therefore, you're going to get better odds with some guys that you wouldn't necessarily expect. But with the conditions and the way that certain guys have played, I feel like there are some great value bets out there this week.
And that's kind of what that is. And Stoy, plus 130 right there. That's great. That's phenomenal for him in that top 30. But like you mentioned it. You mentioned it right there. Like I don't know how he didn't climb the board more last week after a T2. He literally, if he continues success from overseas to here, and you're just telling him like if you could, you're giving guys great odds.
Tour guy, hey, all I need you to do on Saturday is shoot 76 and you win a golf tournament. Because he shot 78 and lost by 1.
But you stop.
Like
computer bumped me.
He shot 78 on Saturday and shot in the 60s. The only guy in the tournament last week to shoot in the 60s 3 out of 4 rounds. And he lost. He was T2, so he lost by 1. But and he's played great golf. We talked about him last week.
Oh yeah,
as someone to look out for, and then he came over and proved it. Like, there's no reason to think that these conditions play into his favor even more than if it's a perfect golf course. Sure, I might think that he's going to get overtaken by some of the best guys in the world. In these conditions, I favor him more than anything as far as just being a dude that's he's going to be there for the grind, and he might blow up on a couple holes, but he also might shoot 65 a couple days.
What's insane to me is he's a 16th ranked golfer in the world right now. Yeah. Okay.
I love watching him golf.
His odds are
3, 4, 5. I wish they'd put a mic on him.
21. So he's got the 22nd highest odds in this tournament, and he's the 16th ranked golfer in this world.
I don't get it.
So that's for me and being us being a numbers guy. So while Stoy contemplates, I'm going way up the board on this.
Okay.
Up or down?
Way down, way up in odds, down and
up with hope, down with dope.
My pick is at plus 16,000 for my dark horse pick.
That a baby.
Seamus Power.
Yeah, guy's been playing great golf all year, except for last week.
He, again, another guy that he's basically top 100 in the world in every single category that you can pick out there. And looking at guys you picked Morikawa. That guy's top 50 in everything. There's inches, less than feet difference between a top 100 guy and a top 50 guy. And there's less than a stroke difference between those things. So, that's where I think, one thing falls his direction. Overseas guy, plays in elements, different stuff like that. I think this could fall into his hands a little bit more. Dark horse, Seamus Power, plus 16,000.
Beautiful.
This dark horse has been wildly, massively affected by the conversation tonight. I've switched it 6 times.
Here's the thing. Ryan and I do all the damn legwork for this, and then you just
listen
and
because I go with my gut, and I went with my gut. But
fine.
My top 3
but
guts.
If you do a little damn research,
I did. Now, my top 3.
That's why he's been so silent the last 25 minutes.
Well, because my top 3 picks were you guys said. Well, no one in the top 10 has finished. And I'm well, there goes my top 3. So now I'm scrambling. And
Be a man. Make a pick.
And you know what? I'm just gonna go with what my gut said, and I'm gonna go back to a little Tony Finau. Hasn't been playing overall well, but I'm a like him this week as a dark horse just because I feel it.
I will never. I mean, obviously, I have a
Connection.
a personal connection with Tony Finau.
Yeah.
So
Just,
I will
just-
never.
I have to.
Tony Finau will never be on my fade list, even if
It's
should be.
warranted.
And I will always root for Tony Finau. So, like, in no way, shape, or form will I ever. I mean, I hope he wins. I'm hoping this is a course this week that maybe gets his putting back on. He has struggled. His short game and putter have killed him this year, and I'm hoping this week that length off the tee with less than driver is not going to be an issue for him, and he is a grinder. So.
Yeah.
I hope that pick comes home. I hope Tony wins because he has struggled out of the gates this year.
He has, but I think like if there's a course to attack while soft to help you with your putting, this would be the one.
Right.
Because the ball's not going to. You should be within a good realm for putting. So I just want him to get back on track at this point.
And the only thing that I worry about with him is just where his game's at on a mental perspective is like. Has he been happy with the rest of it? And he's good. He just knows that he needs to get going. I know from just like personal background stuff and stuff like that he is an innately positive person.
Yeah.
So I think that's the case. So I'm definitely hoping that he gets back on track this week. So.
Like you just said, the only thing that's stopping him is his putter right now because I just did a quick little research while you're talking about it. And my two things that I talked about were 125 to 150, 150 to 175, 5th and 9th in the world in those two categories.
I mean,
that's not the problem.
He has literally putted himself
137 and 3-putt avoidance. Yep. So
I'm a field player.
Yeah.
Tiger. I'm a field player. I'm going with Tony.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope the guy wins. So last pick for us this week.
I
would do I would do 3 shots. I would do every shitty shot if that guy won. Like just from the perspective of like that's how happy I would be if he won.
Tony,
so,
we're all 3 doing 3 shitty shots.
If you can take it down.
I
love it.
Ergo, you have to come on our podcast at some point.
Yeah, hey, I love that too.
9 shots for coming on.
9 shots.
And obviously you won the biggest purse ever.
Right.
That helps, I guess. But we're here for you.
Yep. Beautiful.
It's added. It's in writing, guys.
It should say when Tony wins because we are confident.
And we probably shouldn't do 3 shots in one show.
Why not?
It's just saying from a responsibility standpoint, we are all driving home.
Those are like 1.5s.
Right, but that means I can't casually drink.
No, they're
as well.
We shot. We need to space it out. Right. Well, actually, could be 5 for somebody.
Right.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I'm really glad you didn't side eye me as you were saying.
I didn't.
Like it could.
But did you feel that though when I said that someone could have 5, it actually is you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I did.
The odds of you getting 5 compared to us are you're minus 220.
Yeah, you're not. All right. So last picks are Office Football Pool 1 and done picks. We got to make some gains this week, fellas.
Yeah, you do.
I made a
swing.
I did. Am I in last still?
No.
You
went up.
I went low. I now have been last.
He's the low ball.
And it's because I had Casey Hatton. Went Casey.
Oh my god.
Missed 875,000 points.
You guys were only down by like
I'm not in
3
second
mil.
to last though, am I?
No, you're
I jumped some spots.
You're like in 30th. I'm like 32nd or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I might be in second to last.
That is what I'm talking about. The question is like how much better are the guys at the top than us?
Oh, you know what? Let's just pull it up.
I think I'm legit like 3 million behind.
So the leader's at 4.3 mil.
Right.
You sit in 31st, good number, at 865.
Right. So if I hit a winner this week, I'm in the lead.
860. You're 36th, which is not last, at 602.
Just 875,000 points off of.
Here's the thing, though. Like we're a winner away.
Coin flip.
We're a 3.6 million winner away from being in the lead.
Assuming
Let's go.
that they don't also grab.
They're missing the cut.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to us.
So, all right, one and done
I'm
picks.
sticking with Colin Markawa.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm going Colin on this one.
Riding the horse.
On the one and done, you what is there? 5 majors. This is the top paying. You got to pull the trigger on a big dude. You have to.
Yep, and I'm sticking with JT.
I mean, I should honestly just flip and because I love the Hovland pick too. So I should ride, but no.
Yeah, I'm sticking with JT
ride?
on this one.
What an idiot.
Fade. Is that a double? Is that good? Hold on. We've never had this happen. That's a double. Technically.
For me?
Yeah, is it like a 2 for? I don't know how this works.
You're the rule makers.
I'm the rule makers?
Both of you just made up rules before. I mean, I didn't get.
That's a double.
For whoever.
Technically.
For both?
We've never done that before.
Since he picked JT for both and I faded. Because, I only have one fade, but
Yeah, you only have one fade.
You would have faded him twice if you had the opportunity.
I mean, I didn't put him in my outright winner.
Wow. I don't know.
Well, this topic will be discussed off camera because and will be we can announce it on Twitter. We can announce it on Twitter. We can open up to the public.
Come at us. This little section marketing. Blip that one out, throw it out there, and we'll let TikTok and Instagram and Twitter go to work.
That's fine.
So
I say double it.
Cole fade, and I doubled down.
Yep.
Yeah,
right, even after the fade, you were like, nope, definitely going with that guy.
I mean, it was already in there.
I mean, that is technically a fade the fade. Yeah,
it was already in there.
You had a chance. Stoy's changed his picks 8 times during the show.
Ain't about that.
The dark horse.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I was about that on our one and done last week because I had Hatton at the beginning of the year.
That's fair.
And
before we end the show, just quick shout out. Tough weekend, Central Iowa. Saturday afternoon, evening, big tornadoes coming through. 3 different tornadoes. One that was on the ground through Central Iowa for more than 2 hours.
69.5 miles.
Some big devastation from Winterset all the way to Newton. Winterset definitely had some losses there, I think down in Sheridan as well. So our condolences go out to those families. Anytime anyone passes away, it's tough, but kids were involved, and that makes it even tougher, especially for those with younger kids and stuff like that. It hits way closer to home. And then went through my hometown of Runnels, driven out there a couple of different days just to look and to see houses gone of people that I know that live there or still live there, and they've been completely displaced. Heart goes out to them, all of the support for those communities, all of them, small town communities coming together. We rally around that in Iowa a lot, and we've seen it a lot, over this weekend. But then to compound it overall, we had 3 to 5 inches of snow come in Sunday night, overnight. And so that makes it even tougher. These families, being put into hotels, being put up, communities there to support them, but it's still tough when you've lost just about everything, especially for kids, no matter what age. So just thankful that it, didn't have an impact on a ton of us, but just hopefully kind of puts things in perspective. I know it did for me. There's a lot going on in the world right now, from a war perspective, from an economic perspective, and that really just kind of set things back for me a little bit. I know we can get pretty fired up about sports. We can get pretty fired up about politics, things in life, and we can get upset easily, or first world problems as they call them. And that really just kind of took it down a level, especially for me driving down the same road that I go out to my dad's house and the house that I, grew up in, and literally not a half a mile away, houses that have been completely destroyed, and people that I knew as childhood friends, they don't live in the houses anymore. And thankfully, I had a couple of people that I went to high school with that were directly impacted and had reached out to them, but just more so of just the realization of how fragile life is, not to get too deep, but at the same point, just a recognition of how grateful and thankful we are to live in a great country and to live in a great community, whether it be, Iowa or whatever small communities that you live in. Don't take it for granted. Be very grateful and be very thankful and be happy. It's very easy to be negative with all the social media crap these days and everything that goes on in our lives. It's very easy to get negative very quickly. So I just wanted to a heartfelt reach out to those people that were impacted, and just kind of a lift up for everyone else of, live with a grateful heart, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Yeah.
So
we got a 17, 18-year-old kid on our wrestling team right now who's a foreign exchange student from Ukraine who is talking to his family. His dad had to put his mom and brother on a train to get out of Ukraine, and they were on a plane or at the airport ready to leave when everything started to get shut down. So like that, just like you said, this puts you into perspective, and now another worldly perspective comes in. It's, again, got to be thankful for the blessings that you have in your life.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So as always, everybody, we appreciate you. Love the support. Like, subscribe, follow, share. You guys have a job to do into picking this bet between Cole and I. So get on that.
Triple it. Might as well.
Whatever it is, you guys
Make
decide.
them feel the pain.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
you
saying.
guys decide that.
Triple stamp, and double stamp. Wait a second.
Triple stamp and double stamp, Lloyd.
Exactly. So, and if you guys have some outright winners, or you guys have some fun bets that you guys are placing this week, or any insight on the course that you guys really want us to talk about or hone in on next week, more power to it, and comment, and we love to hear you guys' feedback. We always love the roasting too. I mean, we get that quite a bit, so we can't really complain about that. That's pretty fun to
roast
interact.
Yourself, who can you roast?
Exactly. So, again, thanks guys, and we'll stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.
It's time